The first thing that I want to grab is I want spell effect overlays for my abilities. And I think that the best example for this would be Smite. So actually, Delta, can you pull up Thor real quick? And can you move that so I can see it? Perfect. Okay, so we see Thor here. He's smacking around. You can see he's doing cool stuff. And then he pops an ability, and you can highlight and see where it's going to go. And then he can aim it and then fire that off. And then that goes where he has it pointed. Same thing with his little rock thing that he does here. And I think what this does is this helps you know where you're going to hit things and be able to position really, really well. So this is one of my preferred ways. I would love to see this in large-scale combat, being able to have an ability where you fly up in the air, be able to aim where you're going to hit this group of mobs, or even inside a raid or something, where you come down, you affect the entire environment, I think was a really interesting and compelling idea. But it's not just the melee guys that you have to worry about. Let's go ahead and play Hades. So Hades, you can see here, his auto attack, now this is for a MOBA, so it's a little different, but his auto attack goes out. And you can aim his ability here, and you know exactly where it's going to land. You can round people up, you can try to get things grouped up, and you know exactly what's going to hit. I think that they've really knocked it out of the park in terms of the spell effects around your character and giving you the information that you need to know in a non-obtrusive way, which I think is really kind of compelling and really interesting.
Cool. That was very cool. I
Right?
like that a lot. Yeah. That was neat.
So, okay, so diving into each of the actual classes, a part of the combat feel that I felt is missing from some MMOs, most notably WoW, is kind of the lack of mobility. Now, the Hunter has this the most, and so do a lot of the melee characters, but the ranged characters feel like you're stuck in this spot, and I'm not going to move.
As someone who mains a Frost Mage, I can attest to that. I'm in this place, I'm doing my abilities from this one spot, mostly because you can't, for the most part, you can't move and cast spells.
And so, while that has a place in WoW, and it's actually part of their balancing,
Yeah, sure.
I would like to see something that's a little closer to, say, Dragon's Nest. So Delta, why don't we pull up Dragon's Nest here? Okay, so this is a clip that I took off of a character. This is just a low-level example. But you can notice that the auto attacks that are going on happen while we're moving. And there's no slowing down just because we're in a fight. We still have to move around in order to survive. Part of the importance of it is the only time that you slow down is when you're actually popping an ability. And at this low level, we don't have much. But I like the fact that you don't get punished for moving. You keep that high momentum, high energy kind of fight throughout the whole thing. But once you do get hit, then you start really getting smacked.
Well, so that's how they balance it, though, right? You can move out of the way. If you don't, you're going to get schmacked.
Yeah.
I think Monster Hunter World, from the teasers and the bits that we've seen, up to this point, have illustrated is that they do reward high mobility in Monster Hunter World as well.
Yeah, that's actually one I really, really want to pick up because I think it hits a lot of these notes.
Yeah, it looks
where
like
I think
it, yeah.
it could be really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, for kind of the general doing damage, I want to know that the fight is dynamic and I have to move around. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about tanking. Now, I've tanked quite a bit in my career in WoW and in other games, and I just like being the guy that kind of feels like I'm holding off everyone else.
Okay.
Just like you will not get past me. I love that feeling, and feeling tough, like you can take anything. And one example that I have from this that I think exemplifies kind of that feeling when you're tanking is actually Terra.
Okay.
I think Terra has the most dynamic tanking in the game, and I want to show you guys why. So
we have that?
Let's go ahead and roll Terra.
Okay.
And this is an example of me taking on a BAM, which stands for Big A Monster. Right? I like to say Big Anus Monster because they're all big.
Ew.
But you can see here that as he charges up for an attack, you can see it says Defense Success. They have on the right-click button,
Oh, yeah.
it's a block.
Okay.
Okay, so as I'm sitting here and just wailing on him, once he goes and attacks and I block it,
time your block.
I take almost no damage. You see up in the
nice.
top left?
Yeah.
I mean, he is trying to slam over and over again, trying to eat your lunch, and nothing's happening. And it made me feel like such a badass to just stand there and be like, no, you're not going to beat me. I'm going to stand here. You can't do damage to me because I know you too well.
Because the trade-off with that is you timing your block,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and they have animation locking so that when I go to attack, I can't just stop in the middle of that.
Of an attack. It would complete your attack, and then you could block. Okay.
Right.
That was going to be a follow-up
That's the
question. that I
trade-off.
had. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and you have to have that for something like this. So I kind of liken this to Dark Souls Light. Right?
Okay.
So it's very fast animations, so you can be done faster, but you have to learn how to time your attacks so that you can also block effectively. But the point is that the feeling that I've had playing Terra and being in a group or taking on BAMs myself is the best tanking feeling that I've ever had.
Okay.
Like with WoW, there's a lot of pressure on you to perform.
Yeah, actually, that's why I don't tank.
Right.
I've almost exclusively been a DPS class, a warlock, or like I said, a frost mage, or whatever, because there's a lot of pressure on the tanks.
So the nice thing about in Terra is a lot of the monsters are designed so that you will take 80% as a tank. And they will have abilities that target just you, that if they targeted a DPS, they would just wreck you if you got hit by them.
Yeah.
But they're not supposed to. But then like the other 20-25%, there's nothing you can do about it. So it's reliant on everyone else to pay attention to get out of the bad stuff or get out of the way of the boss or something.
Sure.
So it shifts a lot of that responsibility, that it's not just if you are a bad tank, then you're a bad tank and everybody dies, right? But it's everybody has to be on their A game or else people are going to drop.
Ah, nice.
Which I thought was good.
I like that.
So moving on, for the healing stuff, we talked a little bit about that with Wildstar and the medic. I kind of like that idea, but I'm also pretty open to other ideas. I think there's some potential in having something like Overwatch, where you know how you have Overwatch's Mercy?
Yes.
Being able to run and have a beam focused on somebody that can either amplify damage or heal.
Okay.
And then also things like with Ana. Now Ana's a little different because she's a sniper, but you could potentially integrate some of that into a game where now you take someone like Delta G that's good at a first-person shooter, and they have a healing, they have a healing rifle that they're now able to heal people from range and be able to use some of those abilities at the cost of the visibility of the match.
They kind of had that in Borderlands with the guy that could throw out the turrets. He could also shoot and heal people.
And heal people.
He had an ability where if you did damage to your allies, that would heal people. But yeah, you said my name, so I popped up. But yeah, that was good. That was all I wanted to really get to.
Cool. Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. Another thing that I would want to look at is making a healer less passive, and making that integrated as part of doing your damage. I think a good example of this is the Devotion Cleric from Neverwinter.
Okay.
Because they have an ability that says, I'm going to mark this target, and whenever this target takes damage for the next 4 or 5 seconds or whatever it is, those people doing damage to it get healed by X. Right? So it wouldn't be like your main heal, but this helps keep the stagger damage down and supplement it. Things like that you get the healing, or even World of Warcraft's, I guess the Discipline Priest is getting there, right?
Is that who does it now? It's not the Shadow Priest?
No, it's not the Shadow Priest. They used to back in the day.
Right,
it was so fun.
Yeah.
Now it's more Discipline, where you heal by throwing heals on people, and then you go back and do a bunch of damage.
Oh, okay.
And I think that removes that passivity of healing in a way.
Healing used to be really boring, especially like low level. It used to be really boring. Yeah. No.
Right, and that's a problem with, especially because there's a lot of people that feel a lot of pressure to heal.
Yeah.
So I think that there's going to be a lot of people that really love healing, that need that.
Just to kind of keep you engaged rather than...
And then you have other people that can do a decent enough job without having to worry about, oh, hey, I'm a healer. That they can focus on DPSing and being good at that while still covering that side of the job. Obviously, there's some balance pieces that you'd have to work out here, percentages and things.
Yeah, sure.
But the style should still apply.
Yeah.
So moving on, kind of going into a bit of the next-gen MMO type stuff, I was really excited for EverQuest Next.
Oh yeah, sure.
Because it was going to be awesome. And I
Yeah.
think that there's some things that they had in there that need to be brought in. For example, we're going to roll a clip here real quick. So this is going to be in EverQuest Next. They had this example where the wizard throws up an ice barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And now the ice barrier is up, and the monsters have to actually attack the ice barrier to get it to go away. It's a physical barrier. They can't move past it.
Cool.
Right? Then they end up breaking through it, and then they start charging the wizard. And then the wizard casts some earth thing and shatters, but they're on a bridge. So it shatters the bridge. And now all of the guys fall from the bridge down into the pit, and then they die.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? So the terrain changes based off of the spells that you use. So I can imagine some things like going into a group raid or a group boss and going and kill an orc chieftain, where orcs are coming out of different places, like running on different bridges and things like that, coming in, and having people do things like a druid that has a whirlwind ability that pulls all of the guys into one particular area, so that the ice mage can then put a barrier of frost around them so they can't move anywhere else.
Okay.
And then have the warlock conjure an infernal or a meteor that summons down that does big AoE damage but in a small condensed area. They're using all of this terrain stuff to change the way that the fight plays out.
That would be really cool.
And I think that would be really compelling, using these against each other and finding ways to... very much like what we do in D&D.
Yeah,
When we're doing those, you have these wizards that
you combo
they
abilities
conjure
together.
this force cage, and then they put cloud kill on top of it to have it just kill everyone inside, right?
Yeah.
Things like that I think would be really interesting. What I would really love to see in terms of gear would be like Diablo 3. I would love to see gear on the higher end that changes how your spells work.
Oh, yeah.
Fundamentally, right?
Yeah.
So I have my base set of spells, and I don't care if you do like Guild Wars 2 where your weapons give you spells and your class gives you spells, but you have a set of spells, and then you have some things for your class that change the game completely. One of my favorite things about Diablo is that you can have something, a build that you're working on, get one legendary drop, and be like, this changes everything.
I have a really good example of that. And and speaking of Diablo 3, it's cool that the gear does that, because then you basically build a whole set of gear around one ability.
Yeah.
Powering up one ability. And the example of that is, I think what was it? Diablo Season 10, where the monks' rewards was the Inara's gear set, right? And if you got the gear bonus, then you got all of the monks' mantras simultaneously instead of just one at a time, and you got all of your mystic allies when you summoned one mystic ally, right? So now instead of one specifically, you get all 5. Right. Well, then I found a piece of gear that I then put into the cube so that I can put that ability on, you know what I mean? Like I can use that ability on other stuff or whatever, right?
Right.
I think it was a pair of bracers or something that then said when you summon one mystic ally, you summon 2 mystic allies.
What?
All of a sudden, I have 10 mystic allies.
Wow.
And all I do is run, and they just annihilate everything. They're doing all my damage, and then you have that mega ability where it activates all of your mystic allies, like super or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So then you have 2 of the earth allies rolling around, and 2 of the fire allies like pumping up your damage, and holy cow.
So you imagine that in an MMO.
Oh my god. I am my own army, just annihilating everything.
I would love it. It gives you a reason to go and kill the boss over and over again, not just for the loot drop that gives you more stats.
Right, not just
stats. But now you are looking for that thing that changes the whole way that you play.
And I think Trove is another good example of this. I don't know if we've talked about Trove
I don't think we have.
on the channel yet. I'm actually a really, really big fan of Trove. It's Minecraft in that it's very cubey, and you collect cubes, and you can build a house, and you can build stuff out of these cubes that you collect, and the crafting is really fun, but it's Diablo-esque in that you run dungeons and kill elites and get gear and better gear, but they have stuff like class gems, where I know for my pirate captain class, when I'm able to obtain my class gem, I can throw down two of my turret abilities instead of just one. And that changes everything. That puts me on a whole different level, right, Delta G?
Yeah, so for my class that I have, what the class gem does is it eliminates the cooldown of my shield bash. So like it goes from about 5 seconds to nothing. You can just spam shield bash. And that was my most powerful ability as my character. And when that cooldown got eliminated, my DPS jumped like 10 times.
Yeah.
10 times the DPS. It was insane.
It's incredible. That. So that gives you something to work towards, gives you a huge reward, and then gives you a reason to keep playing because now you've reached this new almost god tier level, right? And that's exciting, and you want to keep going. That's just going to propel you into further and further into the content.
It's just a straight injection of dopamine at that point.
Oh, absolutely. In its purest, most unadulterated form.
So there you go. That's kind of my ideas for what I would love to see out of an MMO. That would be so perfect for me to be able to be this awesome, crazy tank that can take these giant guys on solo as long as I got the skill enough.
Yeah.
And then have crazy abilities end up coming out of the gear that I end up getting.
All right, so Dancor covered a lot of the same points that I had, and so instead of repeating,
dude.
No, it's great. I think it's really great that we agree on a lot of those major points, and like I said, one of them is being able to be more active in the fight, right? And being more involved and being more skilled instead of this just passive repetition of abilities.
Okay.
The two main things that I kind of want to cover would be just overall character customization and party play, right? Because we are talking about MMOs. What does that mean for the multiplayer aspect? So with character customization, I mean I don't spend 100 hours on Skyrim trying to get my eyes the right width apart or something like that, right?
Okay.
But I do really enjoy avatar parts and avatar customization. And I think, Delta G, if you could put up the Kingdom Hearts Union Cross that I have. Thanks. I have different avatar customizations for what I like the look of versus these avatar parts that give me certain perks. Avatar parts is really good for questing because it gives me a skill up, it gives me an item find up, it gives me like more damage against rare enemies. But then this avatar set is my raid boss set because I get a crit bonus, I get a skill bonus, I get, raid boss omega bonus. So it's really fun to tailor it that way. I do generally kind of stick with the questing avatar, mostly because I like the look of that the most. Nice. I've kind of had that be my signature look. So I like feeling like I've made this character, right? I've put them together, they're unique to me. And so that helps me become emotionally invested in the character and feel a sense of ownership, right?
Right.
And along those same lines, Dancor and I talked about this quite a lot, actually, because we were planning a mobile RPG game for a while.
For a little while, yeah.
We would meet every week and kind of plan stuff out and kind of blueprint it until we realized that we don't have the skills to make a game.
Well, it's just, the C# knowledge.
It's not there yet.
It's not there yet.
Yeah. But in our plans, we had your classic classes, like the fighter, the ranger, the, you know what I mean, the mage. But those broke out into so many different avenues. So with your just like base swordsman class, you can break that out into, like a barbarian. So now you wield an axe.
Right.
And inside of the barbarian, you have maybe like a berserker now that has 2 axes. Or you have something like a chieftain that has, some different stat, maybe a leader skill stat or something like that, right?
Right.
And then you have things like the caster or the mage that could go wizard, that could go warlock, that could go, priest, and it's just all these avenues that branch out. And that also gives you a real sense of ownership of that character, of this is my unique character that I've built, that, you know what I mean? And I'm really into that.
Yeah, and I think that also, I really like that suggestion because I think it also helps with just kind of on the keeping people playing side. It helps with that feeling of progression.
Yeah.
You start out, I am a fighter, and then you keep going, and then you say, all right, well now I'm this really crazy berserker guy.
Right.
And then that comes into, I'm a full-blown warlord now.
Yeah, right.
And you keep feeling like you're progressing farther and farther.
So then with the multiplayer side, like I said, I'm a PvE player.
Right.
So I'm into groups and group raids and dungeons and stuff like that. Again, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross is a great example of that. They have a lot of events that you could do by yourself. Like they have a raid week every month where there's a super hard boss, and you can fight that by yourself. And when you defeat a boss, you get coins, and you can use those coins to get that week specific character medal,
bonus.
right? So you get a specific bonus based on how well you do. But if you're in a party, then all of your party members fight raid bosses, and you can help them fight raid bosses. Everybody gets coins. Everybody progresses together. A good example of that is before I was in a party in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, I was doing stuff by myself and not getting very far, not getting a lot of strength.
Right.
And as soon as I joined our boys at Inner Sanctum,
You
the
guys are
first
awesome.
week that I was there was the raid for the Trickmaster medal.
Okay.
And it has a 4.8 times multiplier on its special ability, which is just insane. It does one hit, and I think mine is doing well over 1 million damage.
Wow.
But I got that because I was in a party where everyone fought the raid bosses together and progressed together. That promotes community and camaraderie, and honestly, it saved me from I was almost done with the game at that point.
Interesting.
Because there were some medals that had come up that I didn't get, and I didn't feel that sense of progression or accomplishment, and so I was getting kind of burnt out. I was just grinding just to grind. There was really no point. But then I joined a group, and there was that sense of camaraderie and made friends with these people, and now I come back for that community.
You know what's interesting about that is as I'm hearing you talk about this, I was thinking about some of the times where I've had the opposite experience in WoW.
How so?
Where, and it mostly comes down to, I am farming mobs to be able to complete a quest, or maybe there's one particular guy.
Yeah.
Somebody else comes in at the same time that's from the same faction, somebody's going to tap it. And now I'm in competition with this person. We don't want to be around each other at the same time. I'm angry that they're there trying to steal that mob that I need.
Oh, I got you. Like in the starting quest areas,
Oh,
where
that's the
everyone
worst
has
place.
the same quest to go kill 7 boars, and there are perpetually 0 boars.
Right.
Because everyone's killing
Because
boars.
everyone's killing them, and you don't get credit for the work that they're helping to do too.
Okay, I see what you're talking about. Yeah.
So it's very interesting that what you're saying eliminates all of that. All of that. It just makes it, we're just a big happy family. We're all working together to do something.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So I would really love to see something where that gets that competitive part gets replaced, and maybe if you're in proximity of other people doing the same quests and stuff, you automatically join a party with them temporarily.
You get credit for
and
that
you get
as
credit
well.
for the stuff that they do. They get credit for the stuff that you do. You can help each other out and not have to worry that it's inhibiting your gameplay.
I know that Diablo does that. You can party up with people and go do the bounties, do separate bounties, and get credit for all of them. Or if you're running together, gear drops, but it's client side, so everybody it didn't used to be like that. It used to be a piece of gear drops, and the first person to pick it up got it.
Yeah.
But now gear drops for you specifically, and for everyone specifically. Does that make sense? So a piece of gear drops, I pick it up. You also have a piece of gear on the ground that you can pick up.
Yeah, within PvE, you shouldn't be wanting to fight other people for things. And what's kind of cool about that is it even gives you an opportunity. If you're near somebody, you can just trade. Hey, I noticed you're a warrior. I'm a mage. This warrior stuff just dropped. Do you want it?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And Trove
That would
does
be
that
interesting.
a lot too. Actually, they have a really good system in place that if someone completes a dungeon and you're in the vicinity of that dungeon, then you can still go and get the treasure. Or they have an event every hour that if you complete X amount of dungeons, then you get 5 dragon coins. So everyone just runs and spams the dungeons. And sometimes people are so strong it's hard to keep up. Like physically to keep up with
Just
them.
keep running,
Yeah.
right.
So you just have to be in the proximity of the dungeon to get credit for that towards your X amount to get dragon coins.
Interesting.
So again, it's eliminating that sense of competition within the PvP or within the PvE sphere. All right, so that'll do it for tonight's main topic. thank you very much for joining us. If you have some points for your ideal MMO, let us know down in the comments section. We want to hear.
Absolutely. Yeah, and hit us up on social media. Let us know what you guys want to see. And if you have any requests for any videos, just let us know.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be really great. So now that our ideal MMO has been mapped out, we're going to get into some Warframe tonight. It's free to play on Steam. Delta G suggested it. He has quite a bit of experience in it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get into that.
Yeah,
So thank you guys for joining us. We're going to get into Warframe. Have a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks. See you guys.
See you on the Warframe.